seen the title, the topic of today is mashing with Leo. Now, when you hear mashing, it usually has a negative connotation to it. Like, people tend to say, oh yeah, you shouldn't mash, you're minus, etc, etc. A lot of people say that because a lot of people see Tekken as a turn-based game. But as you keep playing the game and you play at a certain level, then you realize that, okay, it's not always a turn-based game, right? When you have a read on someone, frames can go out the window sometimes. And that's what we're gonna talk about in this video. Tekken is not always a turn-based game, right? Frames are very important, but sometimes it's not always about that. Sometimes you can just go out to your frames and keep mashing, you know? So I'm gonna give some common examples on when you should mash, or maybe not should, but when it's a good idea to mash, right? A very good example is after 1-4 on block, right? We know that 1-4 on block is -4. So if the opponent does 1-4, I'm at an advantage. A lot of people will think, okay, he's at -4. -4 is quite chunky, you know, it's quite negative, so it's not gonna try to press again. I can take that as an advantage and just start my offense. They may start with a slow move that gives them momentum, like down 2. Like a lot of Prime players will do down 1, back 1 in this situation because they know that, okay, I can start my pressure. Pressure often comes with big, huge plus frame moves. They will do like a very slow move like this. Down 2 is pretty big. -4 is pretty chunky, but if you think about it, at -4 you can still do things. After that 1-4 on block, they can also opt to, you know, keep mashing basically and do another 1-4, for example. Because of that -4 of the first one, the second 1-4 will come out at 14 frames. That's how, you know, that's how frames work, right? So it'll come out at 14 frames because of the disadvantage of the first one on block. And yeah, basically that's mashing, right? Just pressing buttons while you are at a disadvantage. And some people who play by the book, who play turn-based Tekken, won't really expect that, so this will happen. Boom, 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 boom. Mind you, the second one is 14 frames, so someone who plays turn-based Tekken and probably thinks about, okay, he's minus, I will try to take back my turn with something, you know, like a plus frame or something, like just try to take momentum of the game. This will happen, boom, right? He gets interrupted by the second 1-4 because 14 frame beats 21 frames. It's just basically that. That's mashing. One day someone caught me doing that, 1-4 into 1-4, and he asked me, yo bro, why are you doing that? You know that's -4, right? And I'm like, yeah, it is -4, but it is working, obviously. My opponent is blocking my first 1-4, which is -4 on block, and tries to do a huge move that's like 21 frames, 20 frames. Of course, I'm not gonna let him do that because I know it's coming, right? I might as well, you know, stop him from starting up his offense with a quick move right after it. So yeah, mashing is a legit strat when you know that your opponent is not, you know, being mindful of frames. And by knowing that, you can also do things like this, right? Wait, boom, 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 right? Which is a bit more rewarding. Boom, right? So yeah, that's what I mean by mashing can be good. It's such a basic concept, but it's a very helpful one when you know exactly when to do it. And I feel like a lot of players, especially mid-level players, tend to shy away from it because they have learned the game a certain way. um, they probably have installed in their heads that Tekken is a turn-based game, so they don't really want to explore, you know, this specific thing. I'm here to tell you that it's completely fine and okay to mash. High level players do it all the time. But see, that's the catch though. It's only good to do when it's calculated. Don't be mindless with it, and just do it when you have a solid read on your opponent, because at the end of the day you're still taking risks. Okay, now this time let's say that we are the Leo on the right and the opponent is the Leo on the left. So the opponent now catches on that 1-4 into buttons will always interrupt his slow moves, like down 2 or, you know, something slower. Now he says, okay, I want to punish him for pressing at -4. I want to really, you know, counter hit him with something a bit quicker than that, or maybe a lot quicker. So his options are down 4-2, you know, magic 4 of course, or maybe something like a quick mid to keep him in check, like down 4-4, or maybe like down 4-1-2. Right? These are quick options that can beat 1-4 into 1-4, for example, or 1-4 into another button. Well, except down 4-2, because 1-4 into 1-4 will always interrupt down 4-2. So yeah, now the opponent says, okay, I'm gonna magic 4 him, and or maybe something quick, like to try to punish him for pressing at -4. Okay, it will work. I'm not gonna show the example. We know it's gonna work. But now, if we know, as the player, if we know that the opponent is trying to counter hit us, we can either just press back or use movement. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, this gets sidestepped or sidewalk. Boom, boom, boom. Okay. Boom, boom, boom. This is pretty tricky because down 4-2 has some great tracking. It has some ghost tracking as well. So sometimes it might hit, but it can be sidewalked, as you can see. It really depends, but yeah. Boom, boom, boom. So yeah, my point is that most quick moves in Tekken, especially counter hit moves like this, they tend to have like a weak side or just bad tracking. So it's always good to think about what the opponent is trying to do right after, for example, using 1-4. Sidestepping / sidewalking is generally very good against those quick, fast counter hit moves or just those quick check moves, right? But if one of those moves are hard to get around to or just hard to step in general, then it's a pretty special move. Like not a lot of moves in Tekken have great tracking and are fast at the same time. So if you expect a quick mid or a quick check or a fast counter hit move like Magic 4 or something like that, then you can step that, and yeah, pretty easily actually, because those moves tend to not have much tracking to them. But not only step, you can also backdash. For example, yeah. Now -4 is a lot, but you can still step things like this, for example. So if you know that the anti-mash is coming / the quick counter hit move, then you can always sidestep it or sidewalk it, or just use movement to get around, you know. This is another one I'm very familiar with. This one. Yeah, I've played a lot of Jack players, and anytime they get hit by down 4, they want to interrupt me because they know that I'm -1. And a lot of people think that -1 is like it's still okay to press, you know, which is true. It's not really that minus, so there are a lot of things that you can do. So they are ready to counter hit me at all times, um, with like a 10 frame counter hit move. Oops. So that's why I'm always ready to. I mean, I didn't before, but now I'm always ready to get around that move. You know, same thing with things back one. You can just, you know, evade it like this, but just be careful about his back four, which is like, this is the anti, you know. This takes care of this situation quite easily. Here's another example of when it's okay to mash. Let's say that we are still the Leo on the right and the opponent is on the left side. After 1-4 on block, still -4, we notice that the opponent likes to dash in into buttons. Let's say dash in into jabs, which is like the quickest attack we have. We have a lot of options, but for the video's sake, let's say we are gonna mash, right? Any button that we do after 1-4 will interrupt the opponent, because dashing into buttons makes your moves come out real slow. So the opponent will have to, you know, be mindful of that. Let's see what happens. That's easy. That's like an easy launch, because that's like a very common automatism that people have. It's like dashing into buttons. I'm not gonna lie, I also have that a bit sometimes, that I dash into buttons, then I I wonder why I get counter hit. But like, bro, if I dash in, my 10 frame move isn't a 10 frame move anymore. Like, I'm adding a lot of frames on top of that by just simply doing a forward dash. And that's what happens when you do that too much, you get launched. Okay, 1-4 is probably not the best example here, but yeah, we can use another move. Let's use a move that has some pushback on block. Like, let's say down forward 4. Why down forward 4? Because the pushback will give the opponents an illusion that they have to dash in, you know, to start their offense. Like, they obviously don't want to whiff, you know, so they're gonna have to dash in after the pushback to start their offense. And sometimes you really don't need to dash in like that, but it will still happen. It all really depends on which move you're using. The more negative the move is, the more risky it really is to press buttons right after it. So in my opinion, like, if you're around -6 to less than -6, then it's a good time to try it. For example, like, you can pretty much do it with pretty much any move you want. I mean, if you notice a pattern, of course. What mashing does for you is it makes your opponents feel uncomfortable. It makes them second guess themselves. And it also opens up different mind games in the neutral during a match, which makes the games a lot more interesting. If we want this to be successful, we really need to learn how to analyze our opponents and use their tendencies against them, which is a hard thing to do sometimes, but you know, that's really a must. And yeah, that's about it about mashing with Leo. It's okay to mash. See you guys in the next video. Peace.